Hey everybody, it's another Wednesday in quarantine. We just want to come to you and talk to you about dealing with doubt today. As you know, this last Sunday was Easter Sunday when we celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And it's an exciting thing to celebrate, but it's kind of a crazy story when you think about it, that a man claimed to be the Son of God and died and then 3 days later came back to life. And even though there's evidence and many witnesses that this really happened, it's kind of hard for us to believe sometimes. And we have doubts about it because it happened so long ago and we didn't see it with our own eyes. So today we're asking the question, is it okay to have doubts about Jesus? Is it okay to have doubts about God? And what do we do with those doubts? In Mark chapter 9, a man brought his son to Jesus to be delivered from an evil spirit. And we read in Mark 9, verse 21, Jesus asked the boy's father, "How long has he been like this?" "From childhood," he answered. "It's often thrown him into the fire or water to kill him. But if you can do anything, take pity on us and help us." "If you can," said Jesus, "everything is possible for him who believes." Immediately the boy's father exclaimed, "I do believe. Help me overcome my unbelief." When Jesus saw that the crowd was running to the scene, he rebuked the evil spirit. He said, "I command you to come out of him and never enter him again." Jesus took him by the hand and lifted him to his feet, and he stood up. Now this man obviously had faith in Jesus. He hoped that Jesus could do something for his son. But he obviously had doubts as well, because he said, "Help my unbelief." I think this story tells us that it's okay sometimes to admit to God that we have unbelief, that we have doubt. And when we come to Him and we say, "God, if you can help me," He accepts that, He receives that. And we can say to God, "Help me with my doubt," and He will.
In the Bible, there are several areas of doubt. A lot of the people that we read about and that we know about and that we hear about in the Bible had their doubts. In the Old Testament, I think of Abraham and Sarah. They both doubted that they would have a child in old age, right? Job, I think of him because not so much that he was leaning toward doubt, but his friends were kind of trying to cause him to doubt his God and the sovereignty of God. I don't know if that happens with you or not, but it happened in the Bible. Thinking about the New Testament, I tend to lean toward Peter because I feel like Peter several times seemed to show some doubt in Jesus or his abilities or in who he really was. He knew who he was. He said he knew who he was. But when it really came down to it, did he always show that? There were a couple of times. I think of the fig tree. So Jesus and the disciples were walking along and Jesus was hungry. He wanted a fig. The tree didn't have any. So he cursed the tree. The disciples heard him do this. They went on about their way. They came back the next day by the same tree and it was all withered up. And it was Peter who said, "Whoa, the tree is all withered up, that one that you cursed." As if he doubted that that was really going to be the outcome. Another one, of course, we all know about is Peter walking on the water. So Jesus is out on the water, there's a big storm, everybody's like, "It's a ghost." And then they think, "No, maybe it's Jesus." And Peter says, "If it's really you, call me to you." And so he did. He brought him out onto the water. He said, "Come to me, keep your eyes on me." And so Peter started walking toward him. But then that doubt crept in, right? And Peter started to sink. And then, of course, we were just talking about Easter. So I think about the rooster crowing, right? That's one of the big famous things. So Jesus says, "You will deny me." Peter says, "I'm never going to deny you." And then when it really comes right down to it, we know that that Peter did actually deny knowing Jesus. The rooster crowed. So all of those things just to say that I feel like doubt in the Bible is kind of a theme. And Jesus still loved this man, right? He still loved Peter. He still loved his disciples, even though they showed him some doubt.
The most popular story is Doubting Thomas. We've all heard about Doubting Thomas. On the first Easter Sunday, when the women went to the tomb and Jesus wasn't there, they came back, they told the disciples. And then Jesus actually appeared to the disciples. But Thomas wasn't there when Jesus came. And so it says in John chapter 20 that Thomas was not with them. So the other disciples told him, "We have seen the Lord." But he said, "Unless I see the nail marks in his hands and put my finger where the nails were and put my hand into his side, I will not believe it." And then later on, Jesus did appear to Thomas. And he said, "Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." So Thomas, one of Jesus' own disciples that had been with him, had seen the miracles, still did not believe that Jesus was raised from the dead. And he couldn't believe until he saw Jesus with his own eyes. If this man who had been with Jesus had so much trouble believing that Jesus could be raised from the dead, it certainly makes sense that we have trouble believing sometimes, that we have doubts about the power of God to raise Jesus from the dead and to do miracles in our own lives. But like that man that came to Jesus with his son, we just need to bring our doubts, lay them at his feet, and say, "Jesus, I want to believe. Help me." And I believe that his Holy Spirit will speak to us, will give us faith, and will help us to believe that he is the Son of God and that he is with us today. No matter what's going on in our lives, we can trust him, we can believe him, and he will do miraculous things in our lives today and into the future. God bless you guys. We're still praying for you all the time. And please let us know if you need anything.
Love you guys.